When I first saw this trailer years ago, at this point, I saw that trailer, and much like when I saw the Get Out trailer, I was like, that's going to be a good movie. And then, unlike Get Out, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see it until recently, which makes me feel a little bit bad. Hello and welcome to Blockbuster Review. That is where I play a single game of Tetris Marathon and try to review a film before 150 lines or before the blocks reach the top. Spoilers are at line 50, and I'll start talking about the film as soon as it says go. So, Promising Young Woman stars Carey Mulligan as Cassandra, who, at the beginning of the film, seems to be on a vendetta against predatory men, where she poses as a woman who is almost too drunk to stand, and then once the man basically slowly lures her into his place, she reveals that she is not actually that drunk, and then makes them, in theory, feel terrible about what they have done. That is the opening of the film, and that is implied through the film, but there's also something else that's going on that takes a couple minutes to reveal, and I don't want to get into all the details until we get to spoiler territory at line 50. So one thing about this movie, it's awesome. I really dug it. I really liked it kind of from beginning to end, and I would describe it as almost like V for Vendetta, but where the enemy is predatory dudes. Because it is a woman, Cassandra, who has come up with this overarching plan to get back at the people that wronged her best friend, Nina. And she has all of their names and the information about them that she needs, and she inflicts psychological punishment on them. And like I said, I will get into the details when we get to spoilers, but it is pretty rad. It's also subtle. When I first saw this trailer years ago, at this point, I saw that trailer, and much like when I saw the Get Out trailer, I was like, that's going to be a good movie. And then, unlike Get Out, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see it until recently, which makes me feel a little bit bad. But this movie is dope. And it really has a lot of questions about, what is acceptable in society, what we just kind of laugh off and pretend is normal, what horrors we just accept as part of everyday life that are actually really terrible when you think about them, and the predators and predatory actions that we just accept, maybe even in ourselves or in the people around us, that are actually pretty disgusting and terrible. I say all of that to give you my recommendation of the film before we get to spoilers, and I spoil what this movie is about, because that's something that's really good about it. It's not clear what's going on right out of the gate, and it doesn't really spoil it with the trailer. So now we're in spoiler territory. Let's get into it. So Cassandra was a med student, and by all accounts in the movie, a great med student, and could have done anything in the medical field but dropped out, and they never really get to why until later in the film. It turns out her best friend since they were children, little children, Nina, was assaulted while incredibly drunk at a party, and several people stood by and watched and laughed. And so she vowed to take revenge on the people she felt were responsible, which included the dean that didn't listen to the accusation or didn't give credence to the accusation, a female friend, that heard her story and didn't believe her and didn't believe it was what really happened. The lawyer that pressured her best friend Nina into dropping the charges through bully tactics. And then, of course, the man himself who did it at the party in front of all of his douchebag friends. Now, during the movie, she starts a relationship with a character named Ryan, played by Bo Burnham, which was probably one of the weirdest parts of the movie for me, because the movie does a great job of setting up that Ryan is a good dude. There are good dudes out there, and Ryan is a good dude. And the relationship starts, and it makes you think that maybe she will wane on her going out and tricking men into thinking she's drunk, and then giving them a talking to, and inflicting, embarrassment torture on them. But then it turns out, after she convinces the girl who didn't listen to her friend's story that she may have been taken advantage of herself, and then refuses to answer her call, which drives her a little bit crazy. That woman, played by Alison Brie, Madison, I believe the character's name is, just comes in and goes, by the way, I have video evidence of what happened that night. We spread it around like a joke, which is shocking to me. Anyway, I don't know if you really want to watch that tape, but it's on there. So she watches it, and it turns out her new boyfriend, Ryan, who she is falling in love with by this point in the film, was present when it happened and is heard on the tape, not objecting or wanting it to stop or making any effort to stop a man having sex with a barely conscious woman in front of all of his friends. So she uses that leverage to threaten him to find out where the bachelor party of this dude is, to give her final revenge, which she wanted it to be cutting Nina's name all over his body, but the restraints, because she pretends to be a stripper who puts him in restraints, then he gets out of the restraints and ends up murdering her, and his douchebag friends help him cover up, or one of them helps him cover up the murder. And I didn't like that ending, to be honest. I was actually really upset about that ending. It felt kind of fucked up because in so many male-led revenge stories, like, the dude is just going around killing people, and we root for him, and we're like, this is the best. But this one was so much more subtle and so much more quiet and patient that when it gets to the point where she was going to do some real damage to this fucker, who ultimately deserved it the most, they were all horrible people that allowed something and did not help after it happened. This is the one where she's really going to take revenge, and the dude breaks out of his restraints, murders her, and he's going to get away with it scot-free, and he even has, like, a cry session with his bro, a bro cry session. Like, oh my gosh, I killed the stripper, and he was like, dude, it doesn't matter, it wasn't your fault, we're just going to burn this body, no one's ever going to know. But she worked it out, and she got some evidence to the right guy, and cops show up at his wedding and ruin the wedding, and she has the last laugh through some scheduled text messages. It's not as happy as I would have been, but I don't know if that's my male-centric mind not being happy with the ending, because it was cool to see that psychological torture, but I also wanted her to cut on that dude, because that dude is a monster and an asshole, and it really had that fun back and forth, because we always hear, like, well, what about the guy's future because of allegations, and what about the guy, and what about his life after all this? And he was even saying that when it was like, nah, dude, fuck you. Like, absolutely fuck you. Like, you're an asshole. You don't deserve this happiness that you somehow scraped after a horrible thing you did, and your dad got you off by being rich. Promising Young Woman. I could talk about it for so much longer, but unfortunately I only had one Tetris game. It's great. It's dope, and you should watch it. Right now it's on Freevee, but yeah, Promising Young Woman. Dope. I don't know why I'm still talking.